Hi there, and welcome back to another edition of ScaleUp Radio, the podcast inspired by the entrepreneurial scale-up system and designed to make navigating our scale-up journeys that little bit easier by learning from each other's experiences. I'm Granger Forson, and on this episode of the show, I'm joined by Kayleigh Purser of Sapphire Spa Solutions. Today, we delve into Kayleigh's remarkable journey from encountering industrial challenges to pioneering wellness revolution with Sapphire Spa Solutions. We'll explore her creative approach to balancing work for therapists, the development of a groundbreaking app, and her vision for a future where the therapists are empowered to succeed beyond their initial struggles. To ensure you don't miss any inspirational future episodes, do subscribe to ScaleUp Radio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, you can nominate a guest for ScaleUp Radio if you know someone with an interesting scale-up journey. You can find out how in the show notes. So let's now dive into the inspiring journey of innovation, heartfelt passion, and success by helping others with Kayleigh Purser. Hello, Kayleigh Purser. Welcome to ScaleUp Radio. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, Granger. Thank you for having me. My name is Kayleigh, and I am the owner and founder of Sapphire Spa Solutions Limited, temporary recruitment agency, and the Kayleigh Purser method of deep tissue massage therapy.
Oh, so something in with your name as well. We'll definitely get into that and find out more. So give us an understanding of size of your business, how long you've been going, where, how many people, where you're up to?
Well, so Sapphire Spa Solutions, the concept is 10 years old. It was renamed and created as a limited company 5 years ago. I've got to think about lockdown now. Yeah, 5 years ago. The lockdown years just creep up on you, don't they? So it started off as basically me trying to get a little bit more work as a massage therapist in a new area of the country. I moved back from London to the Cheltenham area and didn't really know anybody other than my sister, and had a bit of a hard time trying to start up my private practice again. So I started joining temporary recruitment agencies in the spa sector and came across a few niggles and issues in the industry, and decided that I could maybe do something a little better. So I set up my own. At the time, it was under Kayleigh Purser Therapies. And one day I got a phone call from my bank manager saying that there was some worrying activity on my account, and they were very worried that I was money laundering. And I found out quite quickly that I was not meant to be using a current account to run a business.
Okay.
Hence why there was a very, very swift change of name, and all of a sudden I became the director of a limited company because I got a very stern telling off from a bank manager.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a good learning point, definitely.
Yeah, it drops you in the deep end quite quickly. So I very often get asked where the name came from, and I'm basically sat being told off in the bank manager's office, and she was saying to me that I needed to turn this into a limited company. I needed to do it now, and could I come up with a name? And I was nervously drumming my fingers on the table, and I'm looking down at my hands, and I was wearing a sapphire ring that my mother had given me, and so I just went sapphire, and so I named it Sapphire Spa Solutions.
Wow, brilliant. So many business owners spend such amount of time worrying about name, thinking about a name, and it came instantly to you from that. Brilliant. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. So, how big are you now as a business? What number of staff, that sort of size?
Well, so we don't really have any employees as such. All of the therapists that we work with are self-employed. They're running their own businesses.
Okay.
And it's just such a privilege to be able to do what I do and just help them to just get a little bit of extra work when they're struggling in those sort of startup phases where you can't get enough business through the door, you are struggling with your marketing, you have your busy patches, and then all of a sudden it just goes dead and you just despair and don't know what to do. That's where I can just go, join us as a member. We've got a jobs listing on a web-based app. You can just go in whenever you want to, have a look at what's on the jobs board in your local area and get a little bit of extra work while you're struggling. So far, we've worked with just over 250 therapists, mostly around the Cotswolds areas, but we're expanding out a little bit more. And currently we're working with just over 60. So those other 190 or so therapists, they've all moved on to bigger and better things. We've got quite a few who've become spa managers, who've opened up their own salons, their own therapy centres. I've got one therapist that I'm just so insanely proud of. She's quite recently been able to open up her own product line. And so she's creating her own products and selling those. She sent me a link fairly recently to her Etsy shop, and it's just adorable. It's amazing to be able to see that and to know that I have been able to help with that in some minute way.
So your business model is around helping, massage therapists to start up, to create, to so you talked about helping in the dead periods, helping, so are we talking about marketing? Are we talking about just being able to cross-pollinate ideas? How does your business model work that you help them?
So mostly it's just about providing that work opportunity for when it's quiet. The beautiful thing is that I've noticed over the last 10 years that there seems to be a little bit of a flow between the spa bookings and private bookings. And you tend to notice that as the spa bookings are creeping up, it usually correlates with the times that your private bookings might be dipping slightly. And it's sort of, it kind of goes around key events. So around the summertime, the spas will suddenly get really busy because people are staying at the hotels, they're on holiday, but also in the summertime, your private clients have gone on holiday. Yeah. So it works quite nicely. Around the Christmas period, we actually, in the spa industry, we get a lot busier because people are getting really stressed out and maybe they're using up vouchers and things like that. But your private clients are thinking, I've got to save a little bit of money. I can't spend on me. I've got to think about Christmas. And so it tends to peter down a little bit at that time of year that you're going, oh my God, I really need to pay for Christmas. How am I going to pay for Christmas? So it's really nice the way there's kind of a synergy with it. And it just seems to work really well.
So is the business is just you running through a website, or how do you make the mechanisms of your business work?
Well, in the early days, it was me, a mobile phone, and a paper diary, which it was great when there's like 5 of you. But I met my fiance about 4 years ago, and the first thing that he did was look at what I was doing and went, how are you doing this on pen and paper? No, we can't do this. And so he started introducing a lot of tech into my very Luddite world. So yeah, it started off where he created like a booking system for us. So that was a website based, and then more recently, we've been working with a company that develops a bespoke app for us. So it's taken a while, and we are still in like the beta testing phase of it. But it does mean that it's now live, it is now being used, and we're very, very gradually moving over to that. We do have a head office. We are based in the centre of Cheltenham. So I do occasionally have some of the therapists helping me out with some of the admin. So it's not just me, but mostly it's all hopefully going to be on this web-based app, and
Wow.
it'll make life a lot easier.
Exciting, yes. And I recently read, someone actually said, for every business owner, small business owner, I'm talking about here, actually, we are all in IT, and we have to realize that. Yeah, and we have to get our heads around that, and we have to be successful through that. If we don't think we are, then actually we're potentially lost, because there are so many advantages to actually understanding and making that happen. So yeah, gone from a paper diary to electronic booking to now app based. Brilliant. So what makes you different? What do you strive to be excellent at?
So I think what makes us different from other agencies is firstly that the agency is run by therapists. So we really do understand what it takes to be a therapist, what the spa industry needs and is looking for. And I may be speaking out of line here, but from my experience, we are one of the only agencies that are actually meeting people. So we're actually meeting with the therapist. We're checking with them what it is that they're looking to do. We have conversations with what their goals are, with where they want to take their self-employment. And we do actually put on 10 times a year. We have a little mini workshop. So it's about an hour and a half, where we do something surrounding your business. So for example, I recently had a guest speaker in doing a talk on SEO optimization, and how to make your business website work better for you. We've got another guest speaker coming in April, who's going to be talking us through social media marketing. I do a few talks myself as well about managing your diary better, how to do your accounting. We've got people coming in talking about the financing and sorting your pension out, things that you really don't think about. I mean, I've been a self-employed therapist for 20 years, and I have only just got my pension sorted. And it's the things that you don't think about at all. You don't think it really applies to you, because you think that you're young and you're going to live forever, and then you hit your mid-30s and go, whoa, this is not going to work.
Brilliant. No, I can really see that, and I love that you're not there just helping them find alternative work and balancing out. I love the load balancing type idea that you talk about there, but you're actually helping them to become better businesses themselves by teaching them, bringing them ideas and structures that they need, sort of 10 times a year. Brilliant. I love that. So how do people come looking for you? How would I, if I'm a therapist, I'm trying to set up why would I come knocking on your door? How would I find you and think about you?
Well, historically, it's all been word of mouth. I'm actually remarkably terrible at advertising and marketing, which is why I need other people to help me out with that. But I've been very, very lucky that everything has been word of mouth. It's other therapists talking to other therapists and recommending us, and which is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. More recently, I've actually started working a bit closer with colleges. So I've recently been down in St Austell, talking to the college leaders there within the beauty industry about more options for the students there of what they can be looking to going into. I was actually today. I was at Gloucester College as well, doing a similar talk with their students. So we've sort of started. We've started thinking about where we can influence people, and start to show the budding therapists what the other options are. That it's not just going into a spa, going into a salon, and there's so much more to this industry that I don't think people really understand. It's such a huge and vast industry, and there's so many things that you can do. So I like to be able to go in there and talk about some of the team members, especially some of the therapists that have moved on to doing other things, to doing something maybe a little bit different. And it's just nice to be able to try and inspire a little bit and spread the word about what we do.
And on the spa side, how do you find those clients?
Oh, well, that's a really grueling and terribly awful thing for me to have to do. So I basically have to go and visit spas and have massage treatments and facials and get my nails done, and it's dreadful. It's a really hard part of the job, going to all these beautiful places and checking it out. But yeah. So we do a lot of on-site visiting, which is just lovely. And then there are a few big conferences every year in the spa industry. The biggest one is the Spa Life UK. We've been going to that for the past 2 or 3 years, and that's been amazing. So you just get to meet a lot of spa managers and sort of really important people in the industry, and just get to have a nice chat with them. It's a couple of days. It's pretty intense. You basically speed date for 16 hours. But it's really nice. It's a good event. And then of course you've got the Good Spa Guide Awards at the end of it as well. So there's a big dinner and a little bit of gin, which always helps.
Yes, so going to beautiful places, having lots of pampering, and then gin as well. This sounds a perfect industry. I think I'm in the wrong one. So, so what are the trends like at the moment? What's going on in the marketplace?
There's a bit of a struggle in the spa industry at the moment. I think recruitment in general, for many industries, but especially the hospitality industry, it's really quite slow and quite difficult. So there's a lot of movement in the spa sectors at the moment. There's a bit of a trend right now where workers tend to not stay in the same place as long as they used to. I mean, pre-lockdown, you would have people that were 15, 20 years in the same spa, in the same business. And you really don't see that so much anymore. It's more like 2 or 3. Sometimes not even that. People are moving around a lot more than they used to, and taking health and wellness a lot more seriously. There's a lot of people that don't want to be working a 5-day week anymore, which is absolutely fair enough. So there's more and more of a need for temping staff. And we're definitely seeing a big rise in that. And also seasonal work. So where we're noticing that there are trends within the industry in certain times of the year, a lot of employers are starting to just go, right, well, maybe we need to bulk up on our staff for that short period of time. So 3-month, 4-month contracts are starting to come into play as well, which is quite interesting. It's nice to have that little bit of freedom as well. Have that job security for those few months, but the freedom of knowing that you can move on and move around and experience different places. I think it's quite an exciting time.
Yeah. And why do you think, so it's not just in general industry, you're talking about therapists as well. Why are people staying for shorter in businesses and moving on?
I think it is a product of lockdown. I think it's a product of being at home and, realizing actually there's more to life than just going to work. And, people have suddenly realized that they actually, they want to spend more time with their partners or with their children. And it's feasible. It's possible. I think we've started to break away from this idea that you have to go to work and you have to work all the hours that God sends, and you've got to put every ounce of energy into your job, and that your job is life. And we've started to move away from that, and we've started to move more into actually there's a little bit more to this, and I want to take care of my health. I want to have more energy outside of my job, and I want to be defined by something other than what my career is. I think I've fallen into that trap in my life as well, where you do get your entire identity just becomes your job, and you sort of forget that you have interests outside of it, or you have hobbies and you have things that you want to do or that you want to explore. And that, there is more. There is more out there, and you don't have to. You can work smarter. You can do the same amount, and you can create the same amount without having to just put every ounce of your energy into it. In fact, sometimes when you do slow down a little bit, you actually are more productive, which is a big lesson that I've learned. And I'm trying to stick to a little bit better.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Oh, and taking breaks is really important to refresh the brain. It's amazing how when you're tired, how inefficient you really become. But not just inefficient in the process, but inefficient in the thinking, and you make wrong decisions when you're tired. But if you take those breaks, those natural recharging the batteries, it is a very powerful way of refocusing the mind and being more present, so you can deliver greater quality output. So no, I totally agree with that. And if so, are people, are we expecting the same salaries as we did in the past to be able to be more flexible? Are employers willing to pay? What's it like in the therapist industry?
Well, there's quite an interesting study that was done during lockdown, and I wish I could tell you who it was by, but I just can't remember. But they're looking into annual salaries, and mostly around the hospitality sector. So we all know that waitressing salaries tend to be quite low. There's a big expectation of tipping your waiters, because we know that their salary is not the best. But it was they were looking into what the average salary was for a waiter or waitress, and at the time it was around the 19K a year, which I think we can all agree was pretty low. But then they looked at spa therapists and beauty therapists and what their annual salary was, and it was 17 and a half.
Wow.
But most people that are going into spas, they're paying a lot of money to have a treatment. So you're very unlikely to add a tip on top of that, because it's just not talked about, and it's not known what the salary for a beauty therapist is. And a lot of people are very shocked when I say to them that actually beauty therapists and massage therapists and spa therapists, they tend to be on minimum wage. And it's every single time I say this to people, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea. And the reason it's people get quite upset in the industry about that kind of salary bracket is it's a highly skilled job. You can't just decide that you're going to be a beauty therapist and walk into a spa and get a job. You have to have the qualifications. The qualifications take years to get. they cost a lot of money to get. And you need to make sure that you've got your insurance, that you're doing continual professional development. It's not something that you learn how to do and then that's it, you've got that skill. You have to keep working at it. You have to keep renewing your skill set, learning new things, the new industry trends, that sort of thing. And it is something you have to be dedicated and you have to be passionate and you have to absolutely love offering beauty and massage treatments to be able to stick at it, because it's a labor intensive job. It is a hard job. It really takes a toll on your body. And it is so poorly paid. And again, I know people really suffered through lockdown, and lockdown was an awful thing to happen, but there is so much good that came out of it. And one of those things for my industry is the sudden understanding of how much a therapist does and how important this work is. It's part of your health and wellness. It's not a fluffy little pamper. It is a really important part of your well-being. And it's starting to be taken more seriously, and we're starting to see those salaries creeping up. And it's a fantastic thing. And it's a really, again, it's such an exciting time to be in this industry. It's something that we've fought for years, to actually get more recognition for what it is that we actually offer, what touch therapy actually does to both the mind and the body. And it's amazing. It's amazing to start seeing that it's actually being taken more seriously, and the salaries are starting to reflect that, which is, it's great.
No, that's brilliant. It's brilliant to hear, and it's brilliant to see the passion that you have for the industry and the in-depth knowledge and the real sort of drive that you have to succeed and help people, to succeed through the industry. So, wow, thank you. That was very passionate. So let's go back. You started the business because the bank manager. Well, you started the limited business because the bank manager came knocking on the door, and then came the instant name of Sapphire Spa Solutions. So, it's been a journey over these years. What's gone right? What's gone wrong for building the business? Give us some thoughts and some ideas of if you were to start again, what would you do the same? What would you do differently?
Well, if I could do it again, I'd definitely do it differently. First and foremost, I'd have done it sooner. I became a massage therapist I started studying in 2003, and so I became a massage therapist in 2004. And it was a great way of learning. You did things by modules. You got your certificate, and so you could start working and earning a bit of money while you're still studying, which was absolutely amazing. So I was working as a massage therapist from when I was 19. And my first mistake was that I focused in so much on the massage therapy, and I went, I'm not remotely interested in beauty. I'm not doing any of the rest of it. I just want to do massage, and that's it. And I became unemployable as a result, because massage it's incredibly hard on your body. And so companies have RSI points in place. So they're not going to want to employ somebody who can only do massage when you're limited by health and safety to how much work you can do. If I could go back, I'd go, add some more skills in there somewhere. That would be my first one. And then when I came out of university, and it was recession, it was 2010, and it was very difficult to get a job. I decided to become an estate agent, because that was the only job I could get, and I moved to London. And wow, if I could go back, I would not have done that. That didn't go very well for me at all. But but it's a learning curve, and I think thinking about it and looking back, it's given me the work ethic that I now have, to have been able to actually create a business, I suppose. So in some ways, there's got to be a good thing that came out of it. But no, I wish I'd have pursued the beauty industry properly from the beginning, instead of listening to chatter and noise and thinking that it's not a job that you can make money out of. It's not a job that you can call a career, because it's just not true. There's so much that you can do with it. There's so many avenues that you can take, and yeah, I'm a big believer in that the universe kind of forces you down a specific path, and it definitely did that for me. I wish I'd listened to the universe when I got fired the first time from a state agency. I should have listened to the universe and gone, oh, I'm not supposed to be in a corporate job. And then the second time I got fired, I should have listened to the universe and gone, no, I'm not meant to be in a corporate job. And then I had a car crash because I was trying to get back into a corporate job, and I was on my way home from the interview. And I had quite a major car crash, which meant that I missed the phone call to say that I'd got the job. And again, that's the universe just going, you are not meant to be in a corporate job. So eventually I listened, and eventually I got myself back into massage and into doing what I actually love doing. So I wish I'd listened earlier.
So you were doing that, and you started trying to build your own practice, and you talked about that you started noticing that some difficulties and some niggles in the industry, and that took you to then build, your interesting business to start with. Eventually became Sapphire Spa Solutions. So take us through why what were those niggles? What was going on? What were you spotting that other people weren't?
Well, I don't particularly like having my professional integrity questioned. I take great offense at that. And what I was noticing is that any mistakes, booking errors that had been made by the agency, sending me somewhere on the wrong day, or giving me the wrong address and sending me to the wrong place, not checking what my qualifications were, and so sending me to a nail salon when I'm a massage therapist. Those sort of things were being blamed on me. And the agency weren't taking any responsibility for that, and I felt very let down, and I didn't feel very supported. And so there were quite a few instances similar to that you'd be on your way to a job, and then you'd get a phone call saying they don't need you anymore, it's cancelled. And when you're self-employed, if you don't work, you don't eat, and so it has a massive effect on you. And it was things like that. I just felt like there was no structure, there was no protection. I just felt like a number, like I didn't matter. And I wanted to. I don't like the idea that, or the thought that there are people that feel unappreciated in their work, and especially in an industry that is so care related. You really do have to. You do have to be a certain type of person to be a massage or a beauty therapist. You really do have to, wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit, and really be sort of a very kind and very caring personality. And unfortunately, sometimes that also means that you're quite vulnerable. And I just felt very, very much like people around me who were also in the same position who were working for similar agencies. We're just not being treated in a way that is kind and is quite detrimental to them. You know, it can really take it very hard, and it can, if you're constantly being accused of being the problem because of mistakes of somebody else, you can start taking that on. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you start to think that maybe you're not that good. You know, maybe you shouldn't be doing this job, and you're not suited for the industry. And I really needed to put a stop to that.
Brilliant. Well, that's beautiful, and the way you described that, yeah, you know, you are in the care industry, so you need to care about your people. I mean, that's a wonderful way of saying that. So you could see these problems. You decided to set out with your telephone and paper diary. You started building a business. But building a business isn't just about the product and the service you've done, and you've given some fantastic descriptions of what you do for your amazing therapists that you work with. But, you know, business has other aspects to it as well. So how have you gone about, you know, understanding about, you know, profitability and finances and marketing and things? So how have you built the business around that?
In all honesty, I feel like the beginnings of this business was very much flying by the seat of my pants. I had no idea what I was doing. I still suffer a little from imposter syndrome. I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing. And if anybody asks me if, you know, I think I'm a good business person or uses the word entrepreneur to describe me, I get very uncomfortable with that. No, I am, to my core, I am a massage therapist. I'm not, I don't feel confident or very good at the business side of things. And yet the business speaks for itself. I've been doing it 10 years now.
Absolutely.
And it's the exciting thing is that apart from the lockdown year, the business has increased every single year. Every single year, it's just gone up and up and up. So I've got to be doing something right. And I think part of what I've done is I read a lot. Any business book that anyone recommends me, I'm on it. You know, my Amazon shopping list is just books. I get a lot of books coming through the post, and my other half despairs. It's like, oh my God, not another one. I'm actually behind this camera. I'm looking at piles of books that I've read and a pile that I haven't read yet, and it's there's a lot there. Mostly, I feel like I've kind of I've been in a very lucky position that I've joined networking groups quite a few years ago. Very like at the very beginnings of building the business. One of the things that I really did was going to as much networking as I could, and you just listen to other people and don't, you know, you can't be afraid of admitting that you might be wrong and that you don't really know what you're doing and maybe you need help. That's okay. It's okay to ask. And I've got an amazing network of people around me now that I'm in a very, very lucky position that I can just go, oh yeah, I need some help with SEO. I know people that I can just go and speak to about that and that can help me out with it. I have fully I've given in. I've given up trying to learn social media. I've been on so many courses. I've taken seminars. I've done all sorts with social media, and I give up. I don't understand it. I'm not good at it, and I've got somebody else to do that for me. And it's that's the most important thing. I think I think it's Elon Musk who said that the good business person knows to have smarter people around them than they are.
Yeah, very good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I'm remarkably lucky to have met my partner, who is, who just knows tech more than I will ever. I'm never going to be able to understand even 1% of what he knows. So I'm just very, very lucky to have him as well.
Brilliant. Well, let's meet up in 5 years' time and have a coffee face to face rather than just recording this over Zoom. And let's sit back and reflect on those 5 years. So what's happened both professionally and personally for you for the next 5 years to be successful?
I think if you'd have asked me this 2 or 3 years ago, I'd have given you a very, very clear picture, and it would have been mostly financial based. But I think I've really learned that success has got absolutely nothing to do with how much money you've got in the bank, or how or what your turnover looks like. What's the phrase people say, that turnover's vanity, or
Vanity, yeah.
yeah. So no, I'm success to me, and this is going to sound really quite strange. I will be very successful if I am no longer needed. And that's where I'd love to be. I'd love to be able to sit across from you over a coffee and just say, I'm not doing it anymore because the industry's changed, the industry's improved, people are being treated the way that they should be. And it's no longer needed. That would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, lovely. Oh, I look for a fantastic answer. I mean, the conversation today has just been absolutely stunning. Thank you, Kelly. I mean, building a business is hard, but you just sort of went about doing it because you just felt like doing it, and actually that's where you wanted to be. You've tried different things, turning points, and you've accepted those turning points and just got on with it. The bank manager talking to you about money laundering, inventing the name on the spot, Sapphire Spa. Spa Solutions, it is sparkling, everything that you do. But what for me is really evident is that huge heart that you have. And you talk about the care industry, but people don't always care in any industry, regardless if they're in the care industry or not. But you have a huge heart. You have that passion to really help people to achieve, to go beyond where you went, to achieve more, to do more. And you make those connections, help people understand that. You're not just helping therapists to find the load balancing that needs to take place to give them the salaries. You're educating them through how to build more successful businesses for themselves. You're working in the industry to promote it and develop it, to make it more successful for therapists, understanding that therapy isn't just about the massaging, it isn't just about things. You need a whole range of skills, and developing those skill sets, and everything you've talked about around that really, to me, is the huge heart that you have. The passion is around that, and the way you summed up that end, for you, success will be when the industry no longer needs you. I mean, that's just a beautiful statement, but that comes from your heart, and I can see that. So thank you so much for this fantastic conversation. There's some great takeaways and some thoughts in there for our listeners to drill into. We do the quick fire round, okay, which we will do in just one moment. But there was an opening statement that you made that I said I would come back to, and that was the Kayleigh Purser deep massage method. What's that?
So the Purser method, that came about because of the car crash that I mentioned. So although I was working in the corporate sector at the time, I was still doing massage therapy I've never stopped doing that. So evenings, weekends, I'll never be able to let that go. So the car crash was it was pretty it was horrific for me. Not because of the damage that it caused, but because of my job. So I was on the motorway in the middle lane, and a lorry changed lanes, pushed me from the middle lane into the third lane. There were 11 cars involved. I got hit on every single panel. And I stupidly, and I still do it to this day, I hook my thumbs into the steering wheel, which I know you're told that you really shouldn't do that, and I should know better, and I still do it. And because my thumbs were hooked into the steering wheel, I did a lot of damage to the tendons in my thumbs and in my wrists. I've got full spinal compression. I've got a little bit of nerve damage in my left leg as well. And although I did sort of walk away from that, and I wasn't really terribly injured, to then try and go and do a massage when you no longer have the use of your thumbs, it's pretty awful. So I started having to create a way of working that doesn't put so much strain on your body, and that is not only is it easier on a therapist's body, it's actually it's beneficial to the therapist to do this kind of treatment. So it's a deep tissue massage that is completely therapist focused and is all about taking care of the therapist, making sure that they're able to give a deeper treatment, to give a more systemic treatment, and get some benefit out of it themselves as well. So it's just a way of working that actually it's better for your body. Again, it's a way of increasing your longevity in the business, in the industry.
Brilliant. Wow, it sums you up. Yeah, the heart and passion that you have for the industry. You've even built a way of helping therapists that actually is a benefit to them as much as the people they work with. So thank you. Let's do the quick fire round. So if you go back to younger self, what advice would you give yourself?
Stick with it. Just don't give up. Don't listen to the naysayers, and just follow your heart. Follow what you think is right, not what you think other people think is right.
Brilliant. Any books that you recommend? You got a huge stack of them.
The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
Yeah.
Diary Detoxing. And there's one that I read very recently. I can't think of the name. Tom Hodgkinson, I think, is the author's name. The Bohemian Business.
Brilliant.
It's a beautiful book. Absolutely, yeah, really. There's bits of it that made me cry. It was fantastic.
In between books, do you have a chance to listen to any podcasts? Any that you recommend if you do?
To be honest, no, I don't really get the chance to listen to podcasts. My phone is very empty. I try and keep as much social media channels and things like that off my phone as I possibly can. I get very, very easily sucked into the Facebook scrolling. So I try and delete it all off the phone.
Well, the next question is, on your mobile phone, are there any apps that actually make a difference for you? Because you've got rid of all the ones you don't need.
There is one that I do use quite a lot. Probably the most used is my calendar. It just sounds really, really quite boring. But yeah, anything that's scheduling. And there's a lovely app called Mindfulness that is just, it sends me a message at 8:30 every morning and just asks me a few questions about how I'm feeling. And I just fill that in first thing in the morning, and it's just a nice way of kind of getting you set up for the day.
Brilliant. My favorite question of all, who's had the most influence on you as a business leader?
Oh, that's a tricky one. God, it's my dad. My dad's actually self-employed. He's a self-employed farmer, and I think he is the reason that I'm self-employed. Yeah, he's amazing.
Brilliant. And finally, how can people get hold of you?
So probably the easiest way to get hold of me is email. And I'm on Kayleigh at sapphirespa but you can also visit our website and fill out a contact form, www.sapphirespa
Well, Kayleigh, it's been a heartful conversation today. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me as well.
I hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if you're building and scaling your own business, you might well be interested in our book, The Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System. And it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a practical handbook around scaling a business in a structured way. And you can order a copy on all your favorite online retailers, including an audio version, or you can find it and other supporting resources on our website, www.esusgroup.co.uk. That's esusgroup.co.uk, which is esusgroup.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.